Well, hello. We're live again, and welcome to the show. Unfortunately, we're having to run it from home again because we had a few problems over the studio tonight. But the theme tonight is going to be, well, we're going to crack what the philosophers never cracked. We're going to explain what evil is. The theme is basically what is the most evil thing in the world. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to take your questions later on as well, which would be nice to hear, and your ideas, your thoughts. Have you had any views about this topic? We'll talk about it and we'll explain it. But first, we're going to say hello to everybody, aren't we?
And
So
first of all, can
go
I
on,
say,
off you go, Jane.
Can I have a chance to say
Yeah,
hello,
you may
Craig?
actually say
you
hello,
butted
yes.
right in.
You can have
Talking
a go.
about evil. Are you being evil to me, Craig?
Go on then, say what you're going to say.
Well, let's have some hellos. Let's have some
guys.
people on.
I'm doing it tonight, so you'll see me looking down and Jane looking across there. So hello, Louise. Hello, Craig and Jane. Forgot Boo as well.
He's around somewhere.
He's definitely around. And if you have a look on YouTube now, we've got some special Boo t-shirts, Boo hats, Boo cups, and all sorts of stuff. So you'll be able to see all our special Boo paraphernalia. Boo the psychic cat. Okay. Good evening, Craig and Jane.
Nina.
And Annette's there saying, good evening, Craig and Jane from Sebastian, Florida.
Yep. Michelle, good evening, Craig and Jane. Hello to Domenico too. Hope you're all well. Unfortunately, Domenico isn't with us this evening because he's having to do other things.
Yeah, children for a starter. Okay, so we also got Jamie Baby Cardo saying hi, Jane, Craig, Domenico, and Boo from London. And
Patrick, hi there. Should not talk about me. Why
should,
not?
You should mention his name actually, Schuckelberger. And he says he's not that evil. Well done, mate.
That's for us to know and decide.
We've got Jessica here saying hello from Wales.
Hi, Jessica.
And Patricia
Schultz.
Schultz. So you enjoyed that video yesterday, Patricia, eh? That was the one I was talking about, the way we're all being gagged. And raise it on when I got my political hat on, as it were. So we're going to talk about evil tonight. Daklos.
From Finland. Hi, Dakos.
So we just say hello to everybody first when we come online. Give you all a chance to come online. Have some questions ready about this. And
Eye the Needle. Hello. Hello, Eye the Needle.
And hello. And we got a policeman here, Guy, saying hello.
Hello,
Three-headed policeman.
Hello.
Hi, Craig and Jane, says Gail.
And Gail. Hi, Gail. How are you doing?
And Ireland, Jane, you're not looking at the screen.
Oh, well, I'm looking at you, of course, my love. Ireland. Hello, Jane and Craig. Hi.
We'll run a few more hellos up.
Alan. Hello, Jane and Craig.
Let's
Hi,
see how quick
Alan.
Jane can do them. Go on, go for it, Jane.
Indigo. Good evening, Craig and Jane. Enjoy the full moon Zoom readings.
Yeah.
That was you, Craig.
Oh, that was a good. I enjoyed those myself doing those. If you're a patron, come and join me because I'll do some more every month. Cheryl, Craig and Jane, Hamilton Parker Psychic Mediums listening from Massachusetts, USA. Thank you very much. Hi, Jane and Craig.
Hi.
Hello, Craig, Jane and Craig and Boo.
Sophie. Hi, Craig and Jane. Which foreign language should be demanded in the future, especially about the shocking geopolitics?
Yeah, probably Chinese, I expect, actually. We better start talking Chinese pretty quickly.
Old Craig can talk gobbledygoo.
Okay.
Christine. Ali. Hello from BC, Canada.
Oh, there's somebody's idea of what's evil.
Precious.
Already.
Hello, Jane and Craig. Almost China Leaders Summit. Yes, and we will touch all those subjects.
And hello from Australia.
Hello from Down Under.
And hello from Sydney.
Hello,
and
Sydney.
Miami, Florida. We've got lots.
You're seeing it before it comes up on the screen. He's cheating.
Trying to beat
He's
you
trying to
him.
catch me out.
Okay, we've got loads and loads of hellos here, but I think perhaps we should start the show now, shall we, Jane?
Yeah.
So thanks for all of your hellos.
And also, I want to say, Craig, you're going to do your thing on Zoom, and perhaps I can use the studio myself and do a talk.
Well, if you want, we can go over there. We can perhaps do one even tomorrow if you want. If I can.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've got to learn to use all the equipment there, so it could go desperately wrong. If you want to go live tomorrow, we can do a chat from you.
Yeah, late afternoon, perhaps.
Perhaps or sometime,
Yeah.
but don't promise because we don't know what time it will be. But we'll do something like that definitely. Right, evil. That's the topic tonight. What's your thoughts? What do you think?
I think the most evil thing in the world is terrorists that want to destroy people's lives, because I believe that life's very precious, and while we're here, we should go on a vibration of love, not hatred. Evil to me is somebody that is jealous and trying to take things from people, trying to steal money. That's evil. And evil to trying to kill people with guns. That's how I feel.
What do you think actually evil is?
Evil must be something that festers up in somebody's brain.
Is it a force?
Well, I can remember watching a lecture by a psychiatrist once. Nobody's born evil. Somebody might be born a psychopath. Somebody might be born, you can say, had all different things going on in their body. But evil must be something that you want to be doing.
So evil is a conscious thing.
Yes.
Is evil a force that's separate from us? Like there's a good and an evil, or a god and a devil?
Well, there's got to be a balance. I don't believe in the devil. I believe that's man-made.
Okay.
I believe that God is an energy, a supreme energy in the universe and consciousness. I believe the planets run on consciousness and the trees have a spirit. I believe in that.
Yeah, actually, the consciousness thing's where I sort of come in with what I think evil's all about, really. I mean, some people say that evil is the absence of love, which I suppose is an element.
Love me, Craig. Love me.
Yeah. Well, it is partly, isn't it? I mean, people that evil things done have no love involved with them whatsoever.
No, it's pure. It's an energy of hatred and a negative energy. You don't allow negative energy around you. You allow positive energy.
The Buddhists and other guys and other gurus and things say evil stems from suffering. Suffering is evil, and therefore what's the cause of suffering? And as the Buddha said, suffering is caused by ignorance, and suffering is caused by desire, will, wanting things all the time. So one way of looking at evil is to think of it as being like the things that cause suffering. Ignorance. Now, you can't call an ignorant person evil. They're ignorant. But perhaps evil is another idea, is the force that stops the awakening, stops the consciousness.
Well, if people are doing evil acts like killing somebody, then they've got no conscience, have they? If somebody was to shoot a child or somebody do evil things in a concentration camp, they've got no feelings whatsoever.
So one of the thoughts about what evil is we have to distinguish between the evil person and the evil action. In some thought,
both.
You say there's no evil person, there's only the evil action. So, for example, every negative, horrible, terrible, evil thing any of us do is an action. So evil has will. So evil comes from the fact that we have will. We have the opportunity to do good or do bad, to do a good action, which is supportive and helpful, or a bad action, which is horrible and negative, including not just in actions and things we do, but in actions we have in our thoughts. So one thought about evil is that nobody is evil. There is no evil. Things like the Baha'i faith and things say there is no evil, only the actions we do. Hinduism more or less says that too, that it's the actions we do that are the evil. And those actions of an evil person will ultimately always come back to that person. So there's a sort of justice in the world, but there's no external force of evil.
Well,
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying these are the ideas.
Take, for instance, an ex-policeman who killed all those young men. He enjoyed the evil because it gave him a high. And then the other spectrum, he didn't want to live on his own, so he'd kill people. So he had company from a dead person. That's evil.
Yeah. So he had evil intent.
Yes.
So this is the other thing, is there, it's still intent, isn't it? It's will. Aleister Crowley always said, do as thou wilt shall be the only law. He kind of in his own crazy way epitomized evil, didn't he? A bit of a
Well,
daft guy,
well,
ultimately.
he was on drugs anyway.
Yeah, and all sorts of crazy, and he ended up in Eastbourne
in a bed sit.
Yeah.
He was privileged though, Craig, because he came from a very wealthy family, and so he didn't have to work, and he wanted control over women, and so having control over women, he would do all these different images to bring them in. Evil, it's a power thing.
So again, I think do as thou wilt. It's about like the idea of the misuse of the will. I kind of think it's three things, really, the roots of evil. I think it's ignorance, I think it's absence of love, and I think it's misuse of the will.
Now, I think
that's kind of where I go with it.
Put it this way. On Facebook the other day, I saw a most beautiful child that was in a concentration camp, had all her hair shaved off. She was 12 years old. She had beautiful, beautiful face, tears in her eyes. And because she was Jewish, she had a German doctor that had punched her in her mouth and had formed a hematoma and then injected her in her heart. That is pure evil.
Yeah.
How another human being can do that to a child or anybody, that is pure evil.
Greatest, I think, evil of all is but that person, you know,
I mean, child.
I think even if from the evildoer's point of view, can that person ever be brought into a state of goodness?
Never.
Because I think even the most evil of people ultimately can become good people. Often people reform, don't they? They say the angels sing, I think, don't they say the angels sing at the repentance of the sinners or something like that?
What about the black angel, the 13th angel that fell, Greg?
See, that's the Christian idea, is that evil is a resistance to the will of God. Again, Islam actually doesn't have any I don't think it has an idea of evil as such, is that everything is God's will, so therefore nothing can be evil. In the Christian point of view, God made the Garden of Eden, but he also stuck in it the snake and made the snake, you know.
Temptation.
So the question is, what an evil is on the tree of knowledge. So in the Christian view, knowledge is evil. We must therefore not have knowledge. We must remain in ignorance. Or maybe it can mean, like William Blake said, that we're in a state of innocence in the garden. We gain knowledge, and knowledge takes us away from that innocence, and that's what we could consider as evil, the world of experience. And we go back again to the garden, as it were. We return back to our oneness with Godhead, which is innocence again. That's my thoughts. I mean, I'm going off on a big, long philosophical thought here, but you know, shove off Spinoza and the rest of you. We're going to suss it all out.
But then the snake was really a test, temptation, wasn't it? And there's another thing in the Bible: if you turn back and looked, you'll be in a pillar of salt. Remember that one?
Yeah. Well, yes. Sodom and Gomorrah, that was, and Lot's wife. Could have been a nuclear bomb, they reckon that could have been, because if you think about it, it was a pillar of fire by day and a pillar of smoke by night. It could have been a nuclear bomb where mankind was stripped of certain cities which were considered as evil.
And another form of evil is destroying nature, because Mother Earth at the moment bleeds consciously.
So what do you guys think? What have you got? I'm going to have a look now, and we'll start putting up some of your...
Let me look as well. Look. He likes to hog it all.
Yeah.
Greetings from Miami, Blanche. Greetings, Blanche.
Well, people go straight off into, you know, the usual political
head stuff. Joe, Bo, and Crackhead Son, both evil laugh. Ops agents. Well, who are we to deny that, Craig?
Dr. Disrespectful, that's from. I had to sneak that one up because I thought it was funny. So let's put your thoughts up, guys. Nice, easy, clear comments. Here we go. That's an interesting one. Evil is the working of the mind with no spiritual awareness.
Absolutely, I agree with
That's
Gerald.
Pretty
that
good,
is
clear thought. Actually,
very,
Gerald.
very perfect. What you said,
because it's. I think it's everything that goes. The universe is consciousness. It is the awakening. It is consciousness itself awakening. So presumably anything that goes against consciousness would be evil. Ignorance, I suppose, is neutral in many ways because it's the absence of knowledge, isn't it? Really. Yeah. So I suppose anything that is, so that's it's working with the mind with no spiritual awareness.
Absolutely, that's perfect.
Partly. I don't think it's the whole answer, but I think it's a pretty close. So tell us what you think, guys. What do you think? And so
I
Elizabeth
mean,
here saying,
evil
yeah.
creates an energy that can kill. So you're killing yourself. You're killing your spirit to being so evil.
So Elizabeth's saying, interesting, when you can give evil love and light,
and they won't take it.
Well, sometimes, I mean, you can. Sometimes people just need a bit of love and kindness to bring them out of their evil intent and their wrong actions, or to see that this is actions that are caused by ignorance, foolishness, and wrong thinking, basically.
Yeah, but extremist people won't look for love and light, will they?
No. And suffering quickens spiritual growth.
A little bit of
Cheryl
suffering.
Paul. That's another.
Everybody's
Cheryl's got quite switched on tonight. Cheryl, thank you.
Suffering, we all suffer at a certain time in our life, but from suffering, usually goodness comes.
You see, another way of looking at bad things and the bad things that happen to us in life and evil intent and the rest of it is without that little bit of stick, we might not move forward spiritually. We might fall into, if the world was all good and there was no evil in it, there was no negativity, everything was just fine, we would come to a sort of static state because nothing is driving us forward. And I think sometimes we need bad things happen in our life in order to kick us forward and make us work on our spiritual development. Because
yes, but it'd be a much better world if the world was love, because people would share, be caring, and it'd be beautiful.
Yeah. So Christy's saying, to me, there is heaven and hell, full stop.
Well, hell can be here on somebody's actions. Hell can be here through people's suffering.
You see, I don't believe in that division as such. I don't believe God like a man in the sky, and I don't believe an evil as being a man below with a prong, fork, and flames. Neither of those ideas. They're personification ideas. They're the ignorant mind trying to find a way to explain the universe in simple ways, like you might explain it to a child. So those things are useful for some people, but then basically, if we look at the bigger picture, that is not the way the universe is. And my understanding is that the spirit world, for example, does not have a heaven and a hell with a demarcation between them, but there are layers of heaven and layers of hell. The hell is the state you're in. Some people are living in hell here on earth because their inner state is a hell-like state. Other people are living on heaven on earth because their inner state is a heavenly state.
Yes.
Heaven is within you. Hell is within you. In fact, all states of good and bad are ultimately within you, and that's the way out. That's the freedom.
Yeah.
Do you think, Jane?
Absolutely. What's the next one, Craig?
Okay. Someone here is saying, Eye of the Needle is saying, evil is an energy.
Yeah, evil is an energy because it creates all negativity. You don't allow negativity in your life.
So evil's an energy. So it could be an energy in terms of, like I said, thought and action create bad karma. That's the energy that you're creating. And where does that energy go in? First of all, it goes out and does harm to other people. And then that energy ultimately, I always think, bounces back to you. It always comes back. The good you put out comes back as good.
Tenfold.
The bad you put out comes back.
Absolutely.
So we're in charge of our life.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about good and evil. The best way to combat evil then is energetic progress in the good.
And have non-attachment to it, Craig.
Well, that's another theme, isn't it? Non-attachment to good and evil. Because is it not possible also, and are we perhaps getting a bit mixed and fed and lost in the idea that everything's got to be good and not evil? And we're in this endless cycle of chasing good and pushing evil out of our life. Should it not be a case that ultimately we must go beyond good and evil? We must go into a state of awareness where neither good nor evil, but the ultimate blissful state of existence. That's right. Where we exist beyond good and evil.
That's right.
That can be achieved both in this life and the next, I would argue. So I wonder, who is the most evil? Those who give the orders to kill, or those who kill, discounting orders given in wartime?
Well, I think both, don't you? Those that are given instructions to kill innocent people and destroy, and then somebody taking those orders, both are evil in my view.
I suppose a lot of people are put in a position where they're forced to do things they don't want to do. Even in a basic normal job, you're forced to do things you don't want to do. You have no control over the way your life's going, do you? And I suppose you just take it up a notch and say, okay, you're working at the abattoir, your job is to kill the animals. Is that right or wrong? We're all going to eat them, or your job is to exterminate the Uyghur people in China. Where does responsibility lie? The person doing the killing or the person giving the orders? I think probably equally as bad. It's a bit like receiving stolen goods in a court. You're just as guilty as the thief.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another guy's saying here a similar sort of thought again. I think
evil is ignorance and a lack of empathy in a way. That's very true.
And that's another one from Dr. Disrespectful. Democrats are evil, lies, treasonous, weak-minded. Okay, thank you for your political views.
Yeah, it's great.
I think it's funny when people. I bet you're being serious, actually, Dr. Disrespectful. But actually, I think we've got to find an in-between with all this. Nobody's evil in that respect. Every action requires energy.
Yes, and every action doesn't go unnoticed.
Every action requires energy.
Yeah, and every action doesn't go unnoticed with your actions.
Every action gives an equal and opposite reaction, of course, in physics, which is again the law of karma, isn't it?
Yes.
That everything we do gives a reaction, an equal and opposite. But that's just like the endless. So here's an interesting one that NewsTube's saying.
Truly evil beings in human form exist. I have met some of them and other dark forces, black magicians, for example. I am serious. Angelina.
Angels too. Also, yeah.
I thought you said Angelina. And I've got my glasses on.
Yeah, I know. I'm struggling to read this because
there again, if somebody's
I should read that one.
Yeah, but there again, if somebody's saying they're going to put black magic on you, that's controlling you with their power of thought, isn't it? It's what I would call transferring that energy and controlling that you're putting fear in someone's subconscious mind. Nobody has that kind of power or can put a hex on you. It's fear.
I know what this guy's saying.
I know what he's
because
saying.
You're saying, there's like some people have a real energy of evilness to them, don't they? They almost exude.
Dr. Mandalay, is it Mandalay?
Uncle Mangalay, Dr. Mangalay.
Yeah, Dr. Mangalay comes to mind.
They're almost they vibe, and we've met them. You've met them. I'm sure all of us have kind of met people that seem to have a real dark aura to them, and a real dark energy to them. Is the evil in the fact that they are innately evil? Or is it in the fact that they do evil to others and send evil thoughts to others? What is that will in the center of their being that is doing that? Who are we when we look at ourselves in the absolute core of our being? Each of us, if we look to our inner self, we're all beings of light. We are all God. We are all divine. And it's the same for that person who exudes evil and is foolishly following a path of black magic and the rest of it. Some ego trip that they might be on, some feeling that they can get benefit by doing this or do harm to others and get revenge or satisfy some negative aspects of their thinking. All those things are there, but ultimately that's from what we were talking about before, isn't it, James? From ignorance.
Jealousy can be an evil force too.
Certainly can. All of those qualities in human beings, of negative thoughts and feelings that people have to one another. Evil is only live backwards. Don't understand that, Anne.
I don't.
Not quite sure I've caught that one.
Evil is giving a man an enema.
Evil is having one. Yeah. Like-minded people attract like-minded energy. Energy is strength. that some people misuse for self-serving purposes.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's pretty. I think this is another thing, just as what we give out surely comes back to us. So we are the cause on most cases of our own misfortunes, I think, and our own good fortunes, I think. And just as energy goes out and can come back, I presume it's like when you look at energy in the universe, energy can also attract and repel, can't it? So good things will naturally be attracted to one another. And I think if we surround ourselves always in good energy, if we particularly fill ourselves with good thoughts, if we act good, think good, be good, simple, if we do those things, then I think we'll always make the path clear for ourselves, because we're constantly attracting good to ourselves and clearing a path of negativity in our lives. And even though at first it might not seem that way, I'm sure that each of us can build up a momentum of energy that can really make some changes in the world.
Gary, I think it could be that people are born with tendencies, well, when you're born, you're pure. And when you grow up, you can go on the right path or the wrong path. The choice is yours. So you have to use your own free will.
Yes, this is where it comes. This is the key, isn't it? Free will.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the key to good and evil within ourselves and within the world to do with free will? Because we couldn't be good and there couldn't be bad without free will, right? And in spiritualism, we talk about free will and being linked to this idea of personal responsibility too. If we don't have to take personal responsibility for our lives, then we fall back into ignorance. But if we take personal responsibility for all the good and evil things that happen to us, then perhaps we're free. We could be free. So
keep them rolling.
Yeah, okay. Another one come up, Jane.
All right. Nana, I guess that psychic people are more prone to evil forces of attack. Well, when people say they're under a psychic attack, that's another force. That could be envy or jealousy. But if you're truly spiritual minded and you have wisdom and you're very strong, then you bounce that off of you.
Another one of my favourites here. We definitely got certain types of people that follow us here with similar.
Oh, Megan Myrtle. I think, I think Megan Myrtle has a controlling streak. She's been very sport as a child, and like a child wants her own way. There's two sides to her, which will come out later on in the next 18 months. We'll see the other side of her. I feel very much she's deluded. That's what I feel.
So perhaps it's coming from ignorance, and perhaps it's coming from a sense of revenge and spoiltness. Now, I always like Nick's comments, actually. Thanks for coming again, Nick. Evil characters are the most fascinating and thought-provoking. Imagine your favourite movie without the evil villain and the evil characters influence.
Flash Gordon. Do you remember Flash Gordon? What was that evil character, Craig?
So the evil's Ming.
Yeah,
Ming, wasn't it? I think.
Ming.
Yes, merciless Ming. He was brilliant, wasn't he?
I like
the
Flash
merciless
Gordon.
Ming. And it's true, isn't it? What Nico Cardo's saying here. That without evil, what a boring world it would be in many ways.
I always believe good will always outshine the evil.
I think in this world, I think in the world of the dualism world, the world where we are no longer, where we're separated from the oneness of existence, we are still in it, but we still believe through our ignorance that we're separated from it. The whole human play, the whole game of life is based on the interplay of good and evil.
Yeah.
But if we can see it as a game and we play the game, instead of just feeling that we're trapped in it, that we see it perhaps like a movie, like you said here, perhaps we see it like a movie, and we see the interplay of good and evil, the bad things and good things happening in our lives as a bit of a game, and we think to ourselves, we're just a player, an actor, like Shakespeare said, or we just play the game. We play the game.
I think as a child, you see things like Snow White and you see the evil queen and you associate that as evil, don't you?
Yeah.
A bad character.
Well, we seem to see some people as just as evil, full stop. Certainly we see them in our lives sometimes. And this is a point Nana's brought up, you see there, Jane.
Right. It's obvious that some people are just born pure evil. I remember watching a documentary where this fella was had a family. He split up. He had a really, really love for his daughter, but he was evil as a child. He used to pick up kittens and throw them on a fire.
Yeah.
And then he would murder anybody. I think you watched it with me. It's a bit like he was hired by the mafia.
Yeah.
And then
the one that put the guy in the room and had him met by the rats. A real story.
And
he
was a psychopath. But when somebody turned round to him, he was very evil, and said, "Oh, did you get off on that? And do you get off, because you love your daughter?" He went absolutely ballistic. And then he was saying, "The love for my daughter I have is different." Remember that?
So you see, something has driven that person to become that way. Probably often, some terrible thing that's happened in childhood. Carl Jung used to say that there's no evil. What there is the dark side of our own nature that we try to run away from, and what we do, that dark side, the unconscious side of our nature that we're trying to escape on, we project it into the world. So, Joe Biden is all that is evil. Donald Trump is all that is evil, going back to your politics, Dr. Naughty or whatever it was. But you know what I mean? It's like we project, everybody becomes our bête noire, our scapegoat, and often the things in the world, not always, but the things that we see in the world so often are a reflection of who we wish we were or wish we weren't, and so forth. It's a rejection of the own dark side of our nature.
And envy.
Yeah, and don't you think sometimes, perhaps perhaps some of you felt the same thing. Sometimes I've often found that people will often accuse you of the sins that they are guilty of.
Absolutely.
So Craig is such and such, so and so, and I think, well, actually what you're saying is exactly what you are. Not really what I am.
Transference.
And often it can, and it can often, it's transferring it to someone else. You're the bête noire. So I think there's something in that too, as one of the most evil things in the world, the way people project onto others and blame others for the very things that they're guilty of. And you know what another evil I think is in the world too, what I think is a real evil? Belief. I think belief can be a real evil, because this, they talked about terrorism and things like that, and Dr. Mengele and the Nazis and things. They really believed that they were doing good. Dr. Mengele, probably in his head, was probably thinking, I'm going to be able to save a lot of pilots by putting this Jewish person into freezing water and see at what temperature he dies, because then we know how to dress and how to suit our pilots up should they crash in the cold North Atlantic. So he might have had, in what he thought in his mixed up mind, was good intent, you see. So in a way, I've lost my track now, but in a way, how do we judge it? Can we really say somebody is really born evil, or is it just that they are unconscious of what it is to be a true proper human being? Some people are basically born amoral, I think. They don't understand what morals are. Some people are born like with a twist that might be psychopathic. It's like Hitler, would you call a psychopath? He perhaps had no understanding of good and right and wrong. Perhaps. I'm not saying that's the case.
An inadequate man that wanted power.
Here's another one for you, Jane, from Ireland.
How to stop feeling drained by people with bad negative energy, people you can't avoid, for example, if you have to work with them, where you put a protection light around yourself. And I think the best thing, if people are nasty to you, is smile at them and be sweetness and light.
Actually, that's very true, actually. You shame people with your smiles. That can be very protective. I mean, we're talking here about feeling drained from it. And part of the problem is getting sucked into it.
Yeah, because you're being in that aura and in that moment, and it's affecting you emotionally and draining you. So once again, you have to have non-attachment.
I think there's a lot to be said for that, of trying not to get sucked into things. It's like pain. If we're experiencing pain, we got we can either really sort of indulge in the pain and be trying to run away from it all the time, all the time, all the time. And that rejection of pain makes the pain seem even more terrible. Or we can look at the pain and focus on the pain and see it just as sensation. And in that way, the pain becomes less evil. It becomes less aggressive to us because we kind of, by doing that, we've accepted it. And with that acceptance, can kind of integrate it into our psychology. It's a bit like the idea of, if you can change something, the world change it. If you can't change something, you accept it. This is the basis of Stoicism. So if we can't change something, if you've got someone working around you that's a real pain in the ass, well, try to change things. Either move your job or get them out of the job or do something about it. But meanwhile, if you can't do anything about it and you're absolutely stuck with something, then I think acceptance is a very powerful force that we can use as part of our way of coping with the world and ultimately transcending that problem.
I wouldn't give in to that person. I think in your mind, I'm here to stay, I'm earning a living, and you won't get the better of me. Just be sweet and nice to them, and people can see them for what they are. I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. Another one come up, Jane. Do you want to read it or shall I do it?
Ex-Julie X. What do you mean, ex-Julie X?
Ex-Julie X.
Sometimes you need to go on the wrong path to get on the right path eventually. Well, are we talking about people that have been involved in drugs? Are we talking about people that have done wrong things and want to reform? Yes, you can, if you really, truly want to.
In fact, I think Julie's got a point there, actually, because I think all people at some point, either in this life or in previous lives, have had to go down a dark path sometime along the line. Have had to do wrong in order to know right. I mean, how can we know what a good action is if we haven't done a bad action? You know,
your consciousness.
None of us are born into this world completely pure. You know, whatever state
Babies
we're born.
Craig.
Well, yes, but then they change and they have their traits that come out, and characteristics will come out in a child that really have nothing to do with the nurture of the parent or the genetics. That's just their soul. That's the way they are.
That's from
for good or bad.
From past incarnations.
Exactly. So at some point, we've had to probably in our lives do good and bad actions. This is why I think it's the actions that are the good and evil, really. You know, we carry those good and bad actions as karma. That karma comes back to us, both in terms of events, but also it molds who we are internally, you know. So constant negative thinking, for example, will make you into a negative energy person. You know, constant positive thinking and reinforcing happy memories rather than bad memories will turn you into a positive person. So perhaps that's part of where we got to discover how to use the will to mold who we are.
Sometimes I want to say, Craig, you could have somebody born a genius and they're on the edge and they do bad things.
Yeah, that's true.
Proven.
Yeah. Right. Some of these are a little bit long, guys. So you really need, Jonathan, you need to make a short versions, not long ones there.
Like
Jonathan Akeworth, who I know. I can't read them probably, so I'm going to put it up and it might say something terrible.
Helena Breen, there is an ideology of we are our thoughts, meaning we give focus to become or manifest, ruled by fear or standing of love and strength. Yeah, because if you start thinking good things and it goes out to the etheric, then good things start to happen eventually. If we have bad thoughts and we're thinking, say, of somebody and thinking, I wish I never met that person, I've had nothing but trouble in my life, it's like trouble attracting. If we're looking at somebody and you think that's a really good person, and you get this sense in your solar plexus of feeling, and things come. I'm a great believer that you have certain people that come in your life and certain people that go out of your life, and if you want good people, then be with good people.
Yeah, and I think I would add to that is say, as we think, so we become.
Yeah.
And as we act, so the world becomes. So so again, it's in our control, you know. So he said that you know, we are our thoughts, says
yes.
He says here, we are our thoughts. And indeed, we are our thoughts. And who's behind those thoughts? Those thoughts, there's a spirit, a soul, a consciousness that generates those thoughts. That's perhaps where the attention is.
Example,
and
today,
where the will is.
they put out in the news, petrol, don't panic. What happens? Panic! And
Yeah,
why are
it was
people following
ridiculous.
people like sheep?
Yeah, because people are not
Thoughts.
really in control of their thoughts,
Thoughts.
are they? Really, they're not really. They tend to act on impulses most of
Last
the
year
time.
toilet rolls, this year petrol.
You see, going back to that idea, there's an ideology. We are our thoughts. What are our thoughts? You know, because our thoughts are partly behavior. They're partly instinctive. Some people, I don't think, have very conscious thoughts. They live entirely by instinct, and they're driven by their desires on a very deep level. And they're just, you know,
true.
and then other people might have higher levels of thoughts where they might have empathy, they might have understanding, they might have sympathy for others, they might have be aware, and there might be other people have thoughts that are very highly spiritual, can see the huge big picture and the rest of it. And most of us are a mix of all three. And so we are our thoughts, but we are also that consciousness behind the thoughts. And I think this is what meditation is all about, and why meditation is probably one of the ways to combat evil within ourselves. Because in meditation, we step back from our thoughts, don't we? We watch our thoughts. We go back to the being who is the generator of the thoughts.
Inner view.
Yeah. So we learn our inner self is perhaps the most powerful thing to overcome the most powerful evils. Because if we can connect to that higher, it's not even higher self, to that inner self, that innermost self that is the generator of good and bad, then we have control over ourselves, and we have full understanding of who we are, and perhaps we could even wipe away all good and bad karma and enter a state that is higher than all of these things, to transcend good and evil.
Very good question.
Great. I love that question. Thank you for...
Very good. Very clever.
Yeah.
Jason, my grandmother used to say, education makes a good person better, but a bad person worse. I've never heard that one.
But it's an interesting one,
yeah.
though.
But education is important. We never have enough knowledge until we get older in our life by learning. And a bad person worse. So what would you answer?
Well, I'd say, Jason, I think what you've picked up on there is something else that I think is another thing about good and evil in people, really, isn't it? Because education today, when you think about it, it's all about tick box answers. You know, most people I've noticed that are being educated today, sorry, I'm sounding like a real old man here, but they're not getting understanding, they're getting knowledge. They know that this, tick that box, tick that box, tick that box, and you've still got a pretty good chance if you tick one of the boxes of getting something right. But when we were at school, we had to get an understanding. That's why there was a lot of essay writings, and that's why it was written without coursework. It was done in the exams, when you had to know you either knew it or you didn't, you understood it or you didn't, and the examiner could say, this pupil understands. So that's part of where I think education's gone wrong. But the other thing that's missing on education today is they've wiped away all kind of moral teaching. We've got to make it all bland and all very woke. And I think we need to also learn that education is ultimately about the development of character. What is the point of going through education and coming out just that you're really skilled at doing a particular job and be useful for industry? That's not what we're here on this life for. Surely we are here to develop as human beings, and the nurturing stage, both, you know, and kids being farmed out from mothers is also another problem, because that's where the first education comes and the first development of character comes. And then at school, the second development of character can be developed. But we don't do any of it. It's all purely about, can we pay that £30,000 off for paying for our university education? And by doing that, we got to get a job. You know, I think education is one of the keys that we're getting so much evil in this world. We're not learning from others. We're not learning history, for example, to learn about the mistakes of the past and things like that. So that's one of the things I think, that education is one of the ways that we can overcome evil. Look, if we educated all those people in the Taliban, you look at the way they educate people to hate. Now, we went into Afghanistan hopefully to change the society, made a real mess up of it in the end, but ultimately it should be to reform, to help people to become educated. Same with people going to prison. The objective is to rehabilitate them and help them to stop wrong thinking and start right thinking. But we ignore all that anyway. So that's
Next
me
question,
off of my
Craig.
high horse. I've got to find one now.
There's plenty there.
Yeah. There, don't you answer that one, Jen? I'll have a look for some more.
Patricia says, so we must remember we are spiritual beings living a human life where stupidity reigns at a high level. What do you think of that?
Well, if we remember that this life, spirit comes first, spirituality comes first, then I think we go through the paths of life unscathed. Because I'm not really much of a Christian, really, but one of the things that I took from Christianity that I think is a very good saying is, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all other things shall be added to it. So if we seek the spiritual, if we realize, as you're saying here, you know, Patricia, you're saying we are spiritual beings first and foremost, that is the kingdom of heaven, because the kingdom of heaven, we're also told lies within us. So if we first and foremost seek the kingdom of heaven, if we first and foremost seek the spiritual, then all other things will be added to it. All the things of the world will be yours. All the things of the spirit will be yours. So, and I think in a way that's also, and from a Hindu point of view, it would be to seek Dharma first. If we seek the Dharma, if we do our sadhana to seek the Dharma, we work towards developing our spirituality. Actually, the negative things that happen in our lives often fall away, because it's as if the universe is saying, hey, I need to wake this guy up. Whack, give them some problem until they get back onto that path and start thinking about spirituality. So if we do follow a spiritual path, then surely evil in our lives falls away. There's my thoughts on that one. And now I've got to find some more things, because we haven't got Domenico with us today. Okay, here's another question. Patricia Schultz is saying,
are we evil if we kill evil people like terrorists to prevent them from doing more harm? B,
because
I don't think because we can fight them with love. I think you're absolutely right. Craig might say you give love back to them, but if you've got a gun pointing at a 12-bore gun pointed at your temple, are you going to say love and light, peace, man? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with turn the other cheek.
I don't agree with guns, and I think all guns and things like that should be banned.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you have to have the argument. You can't just ban all guns, because otherwise someone will dominate you with sticks and stones. I mean, there's always going to be somebody trying to overpower somebody else. The guns are going to put in the hands of the right people. Now, who are the right people?
Absolutely.
You know, the right people are the defenders of democracy. Is that the state or is that the individual? You know, these are the questions they go through in America, of course. And you know, should we turn the other cheek? Well, I think it was proven very often with what happened with the Second World War. I mean, Gandhi said, he wrote to Hitler saying, if I can talk to Hitler, I'll be able to turn him around. You know, I'll offer my own life to him. I'll do the rest. And Hitler said, nah, blow you. You're off. I probably said worse than that. He wouldn't have anything to do with him. He just humiliated the whole idea of Gandhi trying to do some change. Same with Chamberlain, a piece of paper.
If I remember, Hitler liked to do art, and he had a Jewish artist that refused to teach him, so he had a hatred within him from that moment on.
Yeah, there's lots of things behind him. But the question I was trying to point there is that, you know, you can try to approach it with love and all the rest of it. But if supposing India was ruled by Nazi Germany as opposed to ruled by the British. Now, the British were pretty bad in India, for example, as an example, really bad at times. But there was a certain, Gandhi could apply to the better nature of the British Raj. And I think eventually won through the sheer fact that the power of his better nature and his clever techniques of
violence,
not cooperating with evil, you know, worked. But would that non-cooperation with evil have worked against Nazi Germany? It didn't for Gandhi, and I don't think it would have for the world. So I think it's every situation requires a different solution to the problems when it comes to addressing turning the other cheek or not.
But evil has always been there from the beginning of time. Victorian times, Edwardian times, going right back from the very beginning, hasn't it, Craig?
Yeah, Yeah, that's all. I don't know. I mean, you think we've had Buddha, we've had Jesus, we've had Krishna, and the world's still just as bad. Yeah, they can't wipe it away. Some things are perennial.
All right, here, Craig. Very spiritual. Dear Jane and Craig, I know it's off topic, but will the volcano in La Palma cause a tsunami? You
Tsunami.
are
Yeah.
amazing, by the way. I don't think it will.
Yeah, I've said I don't think it will now, because I think it'll go on for
No.
quite a long time. But you remember my predictions at the beginning of the year were all about there's going to be a year of volcanoes and earth
Yeah, we see
movements. And Jane said it recently. I see it coming soon,
Well, I saw
and
at the
it did when
beginning
La
of the
Palma.
year.
Yeah, and so
It's the climate.
I think there's more to come. And I think that the earth movements are going to be, and is that a reaction perhaps to evil thought? Is the world conscious? Is the globe conscious? Could it be that the things that happen in the greater picture of things is almost like the consciousness of Mother Earth rejecting us?
Patricia, there will be a day in the future when people of the day will not stand the world being like this, and it will be a better place. Well, today we were driving along, and I remember saying to Craig, just think, in the future, we won't have trees or hedges like this.
Yeah, we were looking at all the way they're tearing down, particularly in our area in Hampshire, they're tearing down the green belt, and they're putting up all these big estates, and then they're naming them something meadows or snowdrop buildings, and so they're naming it all, and the great oaks, and they're tearing everything down and naming the places, these great lumps of concrete, after the things they've just destroyed. They're no longer meadows, they're no longer snowdrops, and you think, God, that's all what they've torn up. That's an evil.
Yeah.
But she's saying, is there a day in the future when people will make the world a better place?
Well, we think what's going to happen in the future, it'd be all high technology, and it'll be all controlled. We've got smart roads going in at the moment and everything. I think it'd be a better place if people lived in harmony, but unfortunately I can't see that in 100 years' time. Can you?
Well, I'm a great believer in this idea that they have in India of the great yugas, the great turning of the wheel of existence.
That's in India,
and that we go, and it's the same in the Greek idea of the golden age, the bronze age, the copper age, and so forth, and the golden age. And I think we are on a cycle. I think we are in the depths of the dark age, what they call Kali Yuga, or the age of iron, that the Greeks would have called it, and that we are on the turning point towards a better consciousness. And I think that gradually, there will always be evil in some form, and there will always be good in some form. But I feel that we are moving out of the darkness into the light slowly. I think ultimately, we're going to go, I think the whole of humanity is going to go through a lot of changes, just like a birth is a very difficult thing. And we're going through a spiritual birth, I think, collectively. And I think hopefully in our lifetime, we will see a gradual brightening and a gradual coming together of the world.
I'd call it,
and a better future.
I'd call it the diamond age, the beauty and the light.
But just because you like diamonds, that you wanted one for your birthday, and she got one too.
But I am so worth it, Craig.
Plants, trees, plants, trees.
Yeah, I like trees, because I think you look at oak trees. I hate to see trees cut down. I call it tree rape.
Yeah, I think so. The thing about, you see, we might put up all this ugly architecture, because I think the world's, the better world has to be both material and spiritual. There's two things. For a happy world, you need both. We destroy all the history. We see them tearing down, building a great big estates around beautiful old thatched cottages. They leave the thatched cottage, but they put everything around it. The whole environment's gone. You might as well tear that down as well.
I feel sorry for.
But at least with trees, they're a beautiful piece of architecture instantly, aren't they? So we can replenish the world with a lot of beauty. And I think there's a lot in that. I've often thought, we've always got the salvation of the trees. And hopefully, as long as we keep the environment up to a point where they still grow, we don't know how bad it could get. But if we can do that, then we should replenish the world with trees.
We have a most beautiful back garden, thanks to me. We got doves, and I've got crows and all kinds of birds that love being here because it's peaceful, isn't it, Craig?
They also say one of the best ways to clear your karma, and there's a number of ways to clear bad karma, that's to build temples, to feed people, and to plant trees. And if you think planting trees is something, because they say
sacred.
He who plants a tree is doing a good job, because it's for others to enjoy the shade. You won't enjoy it yourself, other generations will do it. So if you think about it, it's a very positive thing that you do when you plant a tree, because others will enjoy it after you're dead. So you've left something for the world, a legacy, and I think that's why.
So when Craig dies, I'm going to plant a mango tree over his grave.
Yeah, you can do, except I'm being buried at sea.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people picking up on that. Actually, they have great souls.
Nana's a tree hugger. They have got souls too. Yeah,
yeah,
I like trees.
Lots of people here saying.
Yeah. When you go through the New Forest and you see all the trees, beautiful.
They like the idea of the diamond age from there, Jane. I see.
There will be a diamond age.
Yeah, the Diamond Sutra too from Buddhism. That's Tibetan Buddhism, Diamond Sutra. Yeah, and actually that's a nice one. Actually, trees hold the memories of the world.
They do. I often thought when you see an oak tree hundreds of years old, what it's seen going back in the centuries.
Yeah, I like the way they in the people in the jungles and the Aborigines used to call them the grandfather trees.
Yeah, that's nice.
A bit like in Tolkien with the elks, I think it was, wasn't it? The trees, the ancient trees that carry the knowledge of the past. And we need to grow some more. Some of those trees, some trees can be up to 2,000 years old, and we chop them down.
Upside down trees.
Yeah, and
trees.
if we could regreen the deserts, that's something I've spoken about.
I think
this is something that's going to happen. Yeah, I'm not putting that one about not enough sex.
I know there was a barren land somewhere in the desert, and people threw all these. A man put all these oranges.
Yeah.
Oranges that discarded peel, and it suddenly all came back green again.
Yeah, yeah. Even Dr. Disrespectful says plant true trees for everyone you cut down. Indeed, that's very true.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And either Neil said that's a nice thought, isn't it?
The Japanese plant trees when you're like, that's beautiful, isn't it? Is it a blossom tree, I wonder?
Yeah. A question here, does Boo like trees? Well, I can tell you, he likes lemon trees, doesn't he, Jane?
Yes.
He likes
in our conservatory today, we found on our lemon tree that Boo suddenly thinks it's a dirt tree that he can actually do his business on it.
Yeah. Yes, he does rather like that, doesn't he? He's quite funny, really. So anyway, if you're coming here tonight, I haven't mentioned this because, again, Patrons. Don't forget, if you're enjoying this channel, please become a patron and help support what we're doing. We have got our own studio, but we're here tonight here. And if you become a patron, also, I'm doing these full moon readings. You can go and find one of the videos out there that I put up where I do readings on Zoom for some of the patrons. You have to look at the right tier for it, and also Zoom meetings for others of the patrons, and you get other little bits as well. But mainly, if you become a patron, you might just want to give a small bit and just sort of say, well, I'd just like to support Craig and Jane, help their channel to grow, help them to be able to spend their time doing this, which is important for us too, and also help us to get the equipment and the place and ultimately this spiritual center. And another thing Jane and I are doing is the work we do publicly. Like these mediums go out and make themselves a fortune doing theatres. Well, we're going out doing the theatres in order to raise money for the foundation, so we don't take the money ourselves. But you can come and see us on January the forgotten the date.
No, it's not January. You can go January on your top. It's
coming up
November
soon.
the 16th at the Concord Club, which is in Eastleigh, Stoneham Lane.
That's in Hampshire, England, near Southampton.
It will start at you had to be there at 6:30, and it starts at 7:30. We will be filming it, and you will see a great show. And the people last time were so amazed, hadn't seen anything like it, because we are real, and they booked us up again.
So we got a whole load of video of it, but unfortunately we've just been so many hiccups with that we've not been able to get it all edited together at the moment. But we hopefully going to have that for you soon so you can see it. But it is a great event, and any of you particularly that are patrons that come along, come and say hello to us afterwards. And it is great to do that. And again, it's putting something back, rather than taking something out. That's what overcoming the negatives in the world's all about, isn't it? We got to put a little bit back, each of us.
And the energy's nice in that
Yes.
place too, isn't it? Craig?
Yes. So I suppose we're coming to the end now, folks, and we're going to say goodbye in a moment, if I can find the branding to clear to finish on.
And we love you all, and I will answer and respond to you if you come on Instagram or you come on the YouTube channel, and I get straight back to you, long as you don't give me a long list of a story questions.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to say bye, folks, then. So bye for now, then. See you next time.
Ciao.
Bye. Check out our website for more stuff. You can book psychic readings with us and find out about our public events, or watch our fantastic movie called Mystic Journey to India. It's a mind-boggling adventure that's now showing on Amazon Prime. And if you want to learn more, you can find out about my books and courses. Check out Messages from the Universe that reveals the ancient secrets of existence, or read my book called Psychic School to discover and enhance your own psychic skills. Or how about What to Do When You're Dead, my book about the afterlife and what it's like. All this plus lots more, lots of new articles and videos, all on my fascinating website.